the dude is a weapon. He's a true warrior. And I can say that firsthand because he beat me, right? With the same cumbersome throwing punches, right? It's funny. I saw the same moment Adesanya had in that fight, in his fight, that I had in my fight. And it was somewhere in the first round where you see the punches, you move out of the way of the punches, and you realize, like, he's slow. I can see them. Like, I got this. Like, it's almost like you're like, huh, this is too easy. Like, I can see everything. And then all of a sudden it hits you. Then he starts climbing on you when he starts closing that gap a little bit more. Like, he starts risking it a little bit more, like lunging into his shots, and he closes that inch that you thought you were safe by a little bit. Then there's a factor of his power, and he's got power.
Robert Whittaker claims Chimaev's wrestling might struggle against Du Plessis' unpredictable rhythm, calling the South African a far more puzzling challenge than anyone expects.
Khamzat and DDP, the next fight. Who do you think is going to walk away as the champion?
I can't see anyone really stopping Chimaev's takedowns. Like, his takedowns are so hard to stop. It's super high level. Can DDP drag it into those later rounds? Can it get through the first grappling exchanges and then start to capitalize on his just like persistence, like doggedness to go away? Honestly, if Chimaev can't get DDP out of there, DDP wins. DDP wins almost every fight. You can't get rid of him, right? Because he's like mold, dude.
Whittaker has had a front row seat to the rise of both Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus Du Plessis, sharing the cage with each in his career. Whittaker, however, had a fascinating take that caught the attention of many. He suggested that while Chimaev's explosiveness and fast level changes make him a serious threat, it's Du Plessis' awkward, unpredictable rhythm that could make things uncomfortable for the Chechen-born fighter. Whittaker went on to say that the South African's strength, strange timing, and ability to throw off his opponent's expectations could potentially throw Chimaev off his game, especially if he is prepared for more conventional striking.
Khamzat fighting against Dricus, who do you think he wins?
I think Khamzat is gonna win because I don't see anyone preparing properly for Khamzat. They are bringing wrestlers to train them to defend takedowns and all that, but Khamzat doesn't do the normal stuff. Khamzat doesn't do wrestling. He does MMA wrestling. It's different. You need to understand his system, what he wants next. You need to understand this first, and then you start to prepare for him. And I think Khamzat's gonna win for Williams.
On the flip side, Chael Sonnen, ever the controversial figure in the MMA world, weighed in with a more strategic outlook. While he acknowledges that Chimaev is the favorite, he doesn't think Du Plessis should be dismissed as an underdog. Sonnen pointed out that Chimaev's typical path to victory, which often involves overwhelming his opponents with brutal takedowns, may not work as smoothly against Du Plessis. Sonnen argued that the South African's grappling defense could make Chimaev's pressure less effective. If Du Plessis survives the early rounds and avoids being taken down, Sonnen believes the momentum could shift dramatically in his favor. The first 5 minutes, according to Sonnen, would be crucial. If Du Plessis can keep the fight standing, he might have a much easier time dealing with Chimaev's relentless style.
How is he going to beat him? Because I am not fully confident that Chimaev can take him down at will. I'm not fully confident he can keep him there. We're going to know in the very first round. If Dricus gets taken down in the first round, things are going to unravel very quickly. But if he can defend a takedown for the entire first 5 minutes, it's only going to get easier to stay on your feet after that. It's an exciting match. I would expect Chimaev to be the favorite.
Sean Strickland, the current middleweight champion, also added his perspective. Having faced Du Plessis inside the cage and sparred with Chimaev, Strickland is uniquely qualified to give a balanced analysis. Despite their past rivalry, Strickland was quick to throw his full support behind the South African. He explained that Chimaev's wrestling is elite, but it isn't invincible. Strickland emphasized that Du Plessis doesn't need to out-wrestle Chimaev, but he must find a way to neutralize the grappling exchanges. Keeping the fight standing, Strickland believes, is essential. Du Plessis' unconventional striking style, his power, and his pressure on the feet could cause Chimaev serious trouble if the fight stays off the ground.
DDP and Khamzat got announced.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, August 16th, on my birthday.
No, let's go.
3/19.
Let's go, dog.
Yeah.
Where's that gonna be at?
Chicago.
Oh, no shit. They're letting the fucking terrorists in.
Do you think, you know, he beats DDP, or do you think DDP retains?
You know what's hard? So those little Chechen fucks, I don't want to say Chechen, not Chechen, Swedish, but those little Chechen whore, like, dude, they can grapple. And like someone like me, who I've been training with these fuckers for years, I usually could counter wrestle and grapple them. So I just don't know if fucking Dricus can be able to counter wrestle him.
Yeah.
But if he can, I think he wins all hands down. You know, I sparred the fucking Chechen whore, like hands down. I think Drakus wins, but it's just gonna come down to like, are you gonna be able to like stop that counter? Are you gonna be able to counter wrestle? And like you can, it's not hard. You just gotta like, it's not hard, but you know, I've been training these little fucking, you know, these little terrorists forever. So it's like, I just gotta know how to do it.
Adding to the chorus of opinions, veteran middleweight Jack Hermanson, who once wrestled Chimaev in a grappling match, also weighed in. Hermanson, who knows Chimaev's strength and relentless pace all too well, acknowledged that while Chimaev is a dangerous force in the early rounds, there's a crack in his armor if the fight goes into deeper waters. Duplessis, according to Hermanson, has the endurance to survive the initial storm and could gain an edge if he drags the fight into the later rounds. Chimaev, who has shown signs of fatigue in past bouts, could find himself in trouble if the pace slows down.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be an amazing fight, and I think Khamzat is gonna pull it off. But I do think that, you know, especially early, I think it's gonna be tough for Dricus. But if he can push the fight into the later rounds, I think he can have an advantage. So it's going to be a really interesting one. But I'll bet my money on Khamzat in that one. But, you know, not like some people think that he's just going to run him over. But I think it's going to be a tough fight.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's really interesting, especially like you said, if it goes into the later rounds. We've seen DDP go 5 rounds. I know he does look tired, right? Like he has this weird style where he kind of looks like he slows down, but he's going 5 rounds though, right? Like that's something that's kind of interesting. Where I don't believe Chimaev has before. So.
No, exactly, and we have seen like in the was it like the Burns and Usman fight where he looks a little bit more tired in the later rounds. So yeah.
How was it? I know this is a couple of years ago, but how was it wrestling him, like just from the strength perspective? Because obviously he used to fight at 170, he's at 85 now, but I hear that he is very strong for the weight class. What was it like when you got to wrestle him that one time?
Nah, he's a really good, technical and super strong. You know, he looks like a tall, lanky guy, but he feels like a super strong guy. You know, he has amazing strength in his grips, and yeah, he's something special, you know. So it was.
Darren Till, a fighter who has trained with Chimaev and shared the cage with Duplessis, gave a far more definitive take. Till is firmly in Chimaev's camp, confidently predicting that Chimaev would finish the fight in under 2 rounds. He pointed to Chimaev's explosive starts, intense pressure, and elite conditioning as factors that Duplessis wouldn't be able to handle. Till seemed convinced that Chimaev was well aware of Duplessis' potential threats, but he also believed that Chimaev remained unfazed and laser-focused on the challenge ahead. Till's prediction was clear. Chimaev's overwhelming style would prove too much for Duplessis to survive.
If I went back to the UFC now, I was the middleweight I could be. I'd fucking tear that Dricus' head off. Tell Dricus I said fuck him, by the way. The little fucking gobshite. Because I can't stand his guts, because he's so shit, he's so good.
You think he beats Khamzat, your boy?
No, look, with respect, I'm never going to look past Dricus because he trains hard, he's super dedicated, he's super strong, and he's got that awkward style that doesn't make any sense. I think Khamzat will beat him inside the 2 rounds, I really do believe that. But look, Khamzat knows. I was speaking to Khamzat on the FaceTime the other day because I'm meant to be going out to Dubai to help with the camp. Khamzat knows it's a tough fight, but you know, Khamzat trains like a beast. I do think Khamzat gets it in 2 rounds done. You know what I'm saying?
By the way, you're looking svelte. You're looking great. How much are you weighing right now?
Everyone's been saying that, you know, that I'm looking fabulous.
Yeah, you are.
Ariel, let's just go. Do I look fabulous?
I think you look fabulous. The teeth are just like blinding me. I wish I was wearing sunglasses right now, but you're looking fit. Way fitter than the last time, right?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to show me another thing there. It was getting very low, the camera. It was weird. It was uncomfortable.
Whoa. Only my missus gets to see that. Don't be disrespectful.
Rising middleweight star Caio Baralho, who has a sharp understanding of MMA dynamics, also sided with Chimaev. Baralho didn't just highlight Chimaev's wrestling, though. It was his ability to combine relentless pressure with sharp striking and fluid movement that he believes gives Chimaev an edge over Duplessis. According to Baralho, many fighters underestimate how unique Chimaev's rhythm is, making it difficult difficult for opponents to properly prepare. Borralho warned that Du Plessis, despite his toughness, might not be able to handle the combination of wrestling and striking that Chimaev presents, and could be overwhelmed before he has a chance to execute his own game plan.
Khamzat fighting against Dricos. Who do you think he wins?
I think Khamzat is gonna win because I don't see anyone preparing properly for Khamzat. They are bringing wrestlers to train them to defend takedowns and all that, but Khamzat doesn't do the normal stuff. Khamzat doesn't do wrestling. He does MMA wrestling. It's different. We need to understand his system, what he wants next. You need to understand this first, and then you start to prepare for him. And I think Khamzat is gonna win for me.
Reinier de Ridder, a former One Championship double title holder with extensive experience sparring with both fighters, offered his unique perspective. While he acknowledged Chimaev's explosive approach, de Ridder warned that this could be a double-edged sword. He pointed out that if Du Plessis survives the early blitz, the fight could shift dramatically in his favor. Du Plessis thrives in longer, drawn-out battles, and his unconventional striking, marked by strange angles and unpredictable movements, could frustrate Chimaev, who thrives on quick blitzes and closing the distance. De Ridder also pointed to Du Plessis' ability to maintain pressure even when fatigued as an underrated asset.
No, he's absolutely not. I know you've been asked a million times about like the Khamzat and Dricus fight, but now that we do have a date, like a location, all that kind of stuff, maybe you can talk about it in more real terms since we know when and where it's happening.
Yeah, it's August, and where is it?
Chicago.
Oh,
August 16th.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So apparently Khamzat can fight in the US.
Yeah, yeah. Now Trump is in office.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we talked about it before. Do you still feel Khamzat has the advantage there?
No, I think Dricus is gonna. I think Dricus will win. Yeah. I don't think Khamzat is gonna get him out of there early. And Dricus is a motherfucker, man. He keeps going. And every round, though it doesn't really look better, he looks better. His technique, he gets better every round. And I see Dricus like finishing him in the late rounds, like 4th round, 5th round, maybe, with a lot of volume. I see Khamzat maybe taking him down in the 1st, 2nd round, getting to his back, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I think Dricus has a good shot.
Former flyweight champion Demetrius Johnson, a master of technical analysis, gave a thoughtful breakdown of the fight's potential dynamic. Johnson focused on the stylistic matchup between Du Plessis and Chimaev, agreeing that Du Plessis could pose significant problems for Chimaev, especially if he manages to keep the fight standing. While acknowledging Chimaev's grappling prowess, Johnson noted a pattern in Chimaev's fights where he tends to fade as the rounds go on. Du Plessis' durability and unpredictable, powerful striking could become key factors if the fight extends past the early stages. Johnson, like Sonnen and de Ridder, believed that the later the fight goes, the more it could favor Du Plessis, though he stopped short of making a definitive prediction.
DDP, Khamzat. I go DDP.
DDP.
I think he'll survive the 1st round. 2nd round will be competitive. He might get taken down again, but I think he'll shoot in. I don't know. If I'm DDP, I'm shooting in on Chimaev.
Okay.
If he is getting taken down, he'd be like, I'm pulling guard. Yeah. I'm not going to be cramped up against a cage. If you shoot early, we're in the center of the cage, I'm in guard.
Yep.
So I think he takes the center early, doesn't stuff it, flops right to his back, but it'll be so easy for Chimaev, whereas other people might put up a bit of sprawl.
Yeah.
So I think DDP round 4, round 3 TKO.
MMA analyst and former bantamweight champion Dominic Cruz also weighed in, offering praise for Du Plessis' striking. Cruz highlighted the South African's ability to switch stances fluidly and his use of angles, attributes that could be invaluable in defending against Chimaev's takedown attempts. Cruz also acknowledged Du Plessis' poise under pressure, a trait that many of Chimaev's past opponents lacked when faced with his early onslaught. While Chimaev has broken many opponents in the first few minutes, Du Plessis' calm demeanor could give him the edge in weathering that initial storm.
Dricus. Yes. Man, I actually really like Dricus right now, the way he's looking. Like I said in the Schmo interview, he doesn't really stay on the center line. His striking and the stance switch really supports him in the rest of the takedown defense. Because as long as you don't sit right in front of a guy consistently, it's hard to get a hold of the legs and shoot on you. So he's also very big and strong, so I think he can challenge the strength of Chimaev in the first 2 rounds, which a lot of people haven't been able to rival. Just the strength alone has been too much, and I think Dricus is sturdy enough and big enough, he can challenge it. But I will say, I think it might be the toughest fight of his career so far.
Yoel Romero leaned slightly toward Chimaev, largely due to the Chechen's world-class wrestling skills. Romero, who has faced his own fair share of grappling-heavy opponents, believes that Chimaev's Olympic-level grappling gives him an undeniable advantage in tightly contested matches like this one. In such high-stakes bouts, Romero sees ground control as a potential game-changer, tipping the scales in Chimaev's favor if the fight goes to the mat.
1640. 1640. Khamzat.
You have what? Sorry, who do you think? 60 Dricus?
16% for Chimaev and 40% for Duplessis. Yeah, that's a what.
So you think Chimaev? You're kind of slightly leaning towards Chimaev.
Yes.
Why? Why do you think?
Wrestling. The wrestling. The wrestling for Chimaev right now is very, very dangerous.
Bo Nickal, a rising star with a wrestling pedigree of his own, echoed similar sentiments, categorizing Chimaev as part of a new generation of MMA fighters who are redefining the sport with their relentless pressure and positional control. Nickal sees Chimaev not just as a top contender, but as a representation of where MMA is heading, toward an era of fighters who dominate through pace and wrestling mastery, much like Islam Makhachev and Merab Dvalishvili. For Nickal, Chimaev is the embodiment of the evolution of the sport, setting the standard for future champions.
Just based on the styles, I just think the grappling style, you know, I might be biased. I'm definitely biased, but I think the grappling style is so hard to beat, and it's so hard to defend against. And I guess if you look at it from a analytical point of view, you have so many. It's really become the dominant force in the sport. You got Merab, you got Islam, you got Bilal, you got Khamzat, you even have you can even look at Topuria. Obviously people know he's more of a boxing style and he does a lot more striking, but his background is wrestling. You know, he did that before anything else. And so it's really wrestlers that are dominating, grapplers that are dominating the sport right now. And so I think that I would give the edge to Khamzat.
However, other voices have raised concerns about Chimaev's approach, particularly when it comes to his sustainability over the course of a long fight. Former middleweight champion Luke Rockhold, for instance, acknowledged Chimaev's aggressive starts, but suggested that his high-intensity pressure could be difficult to maintain as the fight progresses. Rockhold highlighted Duplessis' toughness, noting that the South African is not only capable of taking significant damage, but also has the ability to recover and keep pressing forward. This mental and physical resilience, Rockhold argued, could prove to be a crucial factor if Chimaev begins to lose steam after the initial rounds.
The two times Khamzat went to a decision was when he couldn't get the finish in the first or second round, and that's when Gilbert Burns started to take over. That's when Kamaru Usman had a lot of success and settled the score, and it almost came out as a draw. And now it's not 3 rounds, it's 5 rounds. And the way that Khamzat Chimaev fights is the way that he fights. He ain't gonna change. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. When you lose fights, you say, well, I never really lost. It was a chance to learn. And that is true. When you do lose, you address some things. You address your preparation. You address your weight cut. You address your diet. You address all kinds of shit.
Ariel Helwani, the respected MMA analyst, shared a similar belief that Duplessis could thrive if the fight moves into the later rounds. Helwani suggested that Duplessis might intentionally weather the storm early on, using the first few minutes to gauge Chimaev's style before adjusting accordingly. While the opening moments could be challenging, Helwani expressed confidence in Duplessis' ability to find his rhythm and make necessary adjustments as the fight unfolds. According to Helwani, Duplessis' adaptability is one of his key strengths and could play a pivotal role in turning the tide of the fight as it progresses.
Now, which direction are you putting that down? Are you transferring that to DDP?
I think DDP figures it out. I think he takes him to deep water and he figures it out, and I think it's like a learning lesson for him and all this stuff.
I like it.
Yeah. Gentlemen, we've done a lot of shows today.
On the other hand, Michael Bisping, a former middleweight champion and sharp commentator, raised concerns about Chimaev's cardio. Bisping pointed to instances where Chimaev appeared to slow down in later rounds, specifically referencing his close calls with Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman. He questioned whether Chimaev could maintain his rapid pace in a fight that stretches into the championship rounds, where stamina becomes a critical factor. Bisping argued that Chimaev's tendency to fade after his initial onslaught could play into Du Plessis' hands, who has proven to be strong in the later stages of a fight. If the contest stretches beyond the early exchanges, Chimaev may be forced to dig deep, and his ability to sustain that early aggression might be tested.
Khamzat Chimaev is a force of nature, and he only knows how to fight one speed, and that's why people really enjoy watching this guy fight. He goes forward, he's a straight up killer, he's looking to take you down, do damage, knock you out, squeeze your head off. Whatever it is, he's trying to do damage right from the opening bell. And that's what he's done to almost everybody. 14 wins, 12 stoppages. Only time he's gone to a decision is twice against Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman. And we know what happened there. He got a little bit tired. And against Kamaru Usman, well, he was kind of lucky to get that decision. I'm not talking shit about Khamzat Chimaev. I think he's phenomenal. But I think he's got some problems here going 5 rounds against Dricus Du Plessis. We've never seen him go 5 rounds. But we do know the man is a finisher. He is a phenom. He's a freak of nature. He's a strong son of a bitch. He's a great wrestler. He might not have the accolades of a Bold Nickel, but holy shit, when it comes to being effective, Khamzat Chimaev is right up there. He's one of the best finishers.
Ilia Topuria, another fighter with ties to both men, remained neutral in his assessment, but did lean slightly toward Chimaev due to his aggressive fighting style and finishing instincts. Topuria highlighted the razor-thin margins that separate the two fighters, emphasizing how close this matchup truly is. To Topuria, this is not a typical case of a clear favorite versus an underdog. Rather, it's a stylistic clash between two top-tier athletes, each capable of winning depending on how the fight plays out. He acknowledged Chimaev's relentless pace, but also underscored that Du Plessis' unpredictability and toughness.
Ilia Topuria on Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus Du Plessis fight. Ilia Topuria gave his opinion on the potential title fight between Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus Du Plessis. Topuria wished Chimaev and Du Plessis good luck as he is friends with both of them.
He's the man. He's a savage. He calls him his shots. He finishes his opponents. When he goes inside the octagon, you know that that guy goes for the finish. He's not looking for the decision. That's why I respect Khamzat. He's a fucking beast. So he deserves to fight for the title as soon as possible. We're gonna have an amazing fight because I love Dricus Du Plessis. He's a great human being. I have a great relationship with him. I have a great relationship with Khamzat also. But as a fan of mixed martial arts, it's gonna be a very exciting fight. I hope the best man wins, and I wish best of the luck to both of them.
Kamaru Usman, who has faced Chimaev in the past, offered a grounded and experienced perspective on the matchup. While Usman praised Chimaev's overwhelming top pressure and grappling control, he also suggested that Du Plessis presents a unique challenge. Usman described Chimaev's grappling as suffocating, but he hinted that Du Plessis' mental fortitude and physical strength could provide a different kind of test. Usman stopped short of predicting the outcome, but he clearly implied that Chimaev's typical strategy of imposing his will on opponents might not be as effective against Du Plessis, who is known for his grit and mental toughness.
Khamzat against Dricus or Sean, do you think he'd be the favorite against either of them?
I think he just takes him down, and like how he beat Usman, how he beat Gilbert Burns, I can see those sort of fights. I think he'd have more success with Strickland than Du Plessis. Because Du Plessis is like a big dude.
Psychological warfare has also been a point of discussion, with coach Tim Welch bringing attention to the mental aspect of the fight. Welch suggested that Du Plessis could play mind games with Chimaev, especially if the contest becomes emotionally charged and gritty. While Welch acknowledged that Du Plessis may not have the same scrambling abilities as a pure wrestler, he argued that Du Plessis' mental game could unsettle Chimaev, potentially throwing him off his rhythm. In such a closely matched contest, mental toughness and the ability to maintain composure under duress could be just as important as physical skills.
I mean, I would love to see Khamzat versus Strickland too. Khamzat said in training, I submitted him multiple times. In a fight, it's a little different. And Strickland, you've seen Strickland get dumped before. He is an expert at getting up. He's really good wrestling, really good jiu-jitsu. But just like you said, can you survive the first fucking 3 minutes with that dude?
That's fire.
I miss the crazy Khamzat, but now that he's getting into these top 5 elite guys, I mean, it's probably better that he's not crazy Khamzat.
Dude, I mean, that looked like Khamzat Khamzat to me.
All week being respectful of the press conferences, respectful of like everything.
Yeah.
It was a lot different than he used to be.
DDP has a way of poking at opponents too, though, so you might be able to pull that crazy Khamzat back out of him.
I'd love to see DDP beat him.
In the end, it's clear that the upcoming clash between Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus du Plessis has divided the MMA world, with many experts offering differing opinions on how the fight will play out. Some favor Chimaev's explosive power and relentless wrestling, while others see du Plessis' unpredictability, durability, and striking as key factors that could make him a tough puzzle to solve. What is undeniable, however, is that both men bring something unique to the table, and this fight promises to be one of the most intriguing middleweight matchups in recent memory.